going to set the quorum, make sure everybody is here. First, David Grimes, Director.
Here.
And Larry Palmer, Vice President.
Here.
And Lisa Walker, Treasurer.
Here.
And Carol Rose, Secretary.
Here.
And myself, Dave Schlau. We have a very busy meeting today. We've got a lot on the agenda. We're going to kind of manipulate it a little bit because we've got Pro Call here today, and we've got our community service patrol people here today. So we want to make sure we get them on the agenda first so they can get out of here and live their personal lives. I brought a couple of things today that I just wanted to talk about as we come into the new season of the new board, and I brought some visuals with me. This is a document that every homeowner should have that lives in Cooper Commons that is a homeowner. These are our CC&Rs and our governing documents that we as a board are obligated to live by. If you don't have this book, all these documents are currently on the We Are Vision website, and you can pull them up on the We Are Vision website. On top of that, I think you can pull up meeting minutes from as far back as 2009, from any meeting minutes you want to bring up to check on anything. We also encourage you to get your email addresses into Vision. We have an email blast. If nobody in the room is familiar with that, or if you're familiar with that, you'll get an email blast 3 days before every board meeting, indicating when and where the board meeting is. That will be changing obviously during the holidays in November and December, so you might want to pay some attention to that. It will automatically be the fourth Wednesday of every month. Every comment that's made by the homeowners is very important to me. I sat out there for a lot of years before I sat on the board. Not only is every comment that's made by the homeowners important to me, but every comment that's made by any board member is important to me. And we want to strive to get any of your concerns or anything you want to say onto our agendas. But unfortunately, if it's not on the agenda, we cannot talk about it. So the easiest way to get an item on the agenda is by the third Wednesday of every month to send an email to matt@wearevision.com and indicate what you'd like to talk about on the agenda, and he'll get together with me and I'll get together with the rest of the board, and we'll either add the item to the agenda or address why it's not being added to the agenda at the following meeting. But if there's anything that you want to talk about and it's not on the agenda when we do our open town hall session, you're more than willing to say what you want to say, but unfortunately, because it's not an agenda item, the board cannot comment on it. So with that in mind, the meeting runs from gavel down to gavel end. So at the end of the meeting, we ask that you leave and not approach any of the board members and not try to discuss any other business, because all of our business is discussed between the time we start the meeting and the time that we end the meeting. So please respect that, and I think we're all going to get along great, because I'm really excited about having the opportunity to serve the community. So with that in mind, we have Pro Qual here first. We have Scott Needham, Glenn Winter, and my favorite person, Richard. This is the guy, I asked him to come tonight because I thought he was very important to our community. He's the boots on the ground guy that runs the crew out here with 3 other people, and he is very responsive to any of our needs and concerns. He loves when you see him out there, and he loves to have you stop and tell him what a great job he's doing. If you don't think he's doing a great job, don't stop, because he doesn't want to hear me. But I asked him to come tonight because we're having some talks about some of the different shrubs that are out there and the way that we want them trimmed. And Carol has a couple of ideas about something that's out there that is a concern that's around the park. And I think all these issues have been addressed with the exception of Carol's. We were talking about the shaping of Texas sage, which I couldn't tell you what they look like. I just know what the names of them are. Texas sage, cassiolas, and the bougainvilleas. And Richard, with the help of Glenn, put a program together where those are going to be trimmed. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've already started.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add to why you're here tonight, or what you foresee happening in the community? Or
yeah, I have quite a bit to go over for you guys,
okay,
if I may.
Okay, well, I wanted to give Richard a chance first because I dragged him in here. So
no, I'm good.
Glenn?
Yeah, sure, thanks. So I'm Glenn Winter, I'm your account manager here with Pro Qual Landscaping. Like you said, Scott Needham's with me, and then Richard. who's our on-site foreman, does a wonderful job for us. Very good job. He's out there every day. As you know, it's not very nice outside right now. It's pretty hot. So I first just want to applaud Richard for the job that he's doing. Huge asset, definitely, to us. But I have a lot to go over, like I said. So here's the kind of an agenda update for you guys, pictures and information. The maintenance crew, which Richard runs, is just finished trimming all of the yucca stalks. You know what yuccas are? They have those pink flowers coming up. So they just finished all of those. They expired, and it's time of year to do that. They are also starting to lift the desert spoons. How far along are we on the desert spoons?
We've got more than 3/4 of them done. Only the section we're heading into now is where we got some on Amanda.
Okay.
You know.
That's that second picture on there. They get
Yeah.
really dirty in the bottom. Trash gets stuck in them, so
Yeah.
we're lifting those up. Speaking of trash, regular trash service, so every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the porter's driving around for Richard, changing out the dog stations and picking up trash throughout the community. And we're following a service cycle map, which is right here. It's not your parcel map, it's different, and it's got 8 sections. You guys want to pass these around? What section are you in right now, Richard?
I'm center in section 5.
5? Okay, so 3 and 4 was just finished. Like you had said, we had started with more of a natural pruning style on the plants, letting them flower and doing hard cutbacks in the spring and letting them flower through the summertime, basically. Recent instruction has been to do a more formal trim. So I have pictures on this update of examples. The manicured and shaped formal trimming is on the left, which we've been doing, and the natural and flowering is more what we're used to, but we're very flexible and can do whatever the community decides. So I just want to open it up to you guys what your opinion is of those 2 styles of trimming. If there's any suggestions or opinions on that.
Yeah, I think Glenn has heard my opinion, and Scott and Richard as well, but I really wanted them to be here tonight, because if you guys have an opinion on the way these shrubs should be trimmed, we need to hear it, because I'm not the decision maker. I can only give them the direction that I think we should go. So anybody on the board, any board discussion on this?
Well, yeah, I think that our trimming has to be consistent, but I really don't think that we should keep cutting off the color.
Okay.
Yeah, we need color. Green is green, but reds, yellows,
Right.
purples.
But not so many of those wild arms. and
No,
stuff.
Right.
no, but
So I understand why we want to do the manicure trimming from your past. Because when we first took over, it was a little too natural, right? A little,
Yeah.
or just abandoned. So we definitely don't want to get to that point, and I think there's a happy medium
Right.
between the two. A rule I like to tell the crew is, if it has flowers, don't trim it with a hedger. Don't shape it. We want to use hand pruners and selectively prune the longer arms of the wild runners that are there.
And I think, yeah, because that way it's somewhat
Maintains the
round
shape.
with the flowers.
Yeah,
without
right.
the wild arms going out.
Right, now there are situations like on rigs where you have a sidewalk and a really small piece of landscaping in the street, and there's bougainvilleas in there. And that's the wrong plant for a 3-foot space.
Right.
Now those, Richard knows to keep off the sidewalk and to just keep shaped in that kind of situation. But if we follow the blooming, so when the sage are done blooming, we trim those. When the oleanders are done blooming, we trim those. There's more of a up and down process. The colors are changing as the seasons go through. And it just looks better, but it still looks manicured, I would say, in our opinion.
Yeah.
So is that the direction that we want to go?
I agree.
That sounds good.
Okay.
How about some homeowner feedback?
What do you guys?
Anybody, homeowners, want to make a comment on the way the shrubbery looks?
Okay.
I'd just like to say, we live on a corner where there's bougainvilleas, and when we first started, they were sprawling all over the place. They do look much better. Also, we live on a corner where there's some quite large pine trees, and there are always, and probably there's nothing that can be done about that, but there are always piles of needles the ground and the gutter.
What,
along
do you happen to know the street name on
there.
that?
It's Westchester and Cooper.
It's that entrance off of Cooper way down the end there.
Okay.
And just as a point of information
Yeah, I
to the
know.
homeowners, Larry, we had an executive meeting on Friday to do some financial things, and we voted Larry as a liaison for ProQual, so he's gonna be working very closely with them. Already done a ride-along with them, and any concerns that you have, again, should go to wearevision.com to Matt, and those concerns will be brought to Larry as a liaison, and then Larry hopefully will bring them to me, or however the program's gonna work. But I think we're gonna be much better off having somebody focusing full-time on the landscaping. Thank you, Larry, for stepping up to the plate.
All right, well, so for the trimming, I think I understand what you guys want. Just stay in communication and, you know, we can adjust little things definitely here and there and make sure that you guys are happy. Turf management, I'm sure you've noticed the ryegrass is all dead now and the Bermuda's coming in quickly. We completed the aeration on Monday and then we did a fertilization to all the turf on Tuesday. The water was also increased. For the irrigation, speaking of irrigation, there was a minor pump leak that Richard brought to my attention earlier in the week, and I contacted Matt contacted the pump company, they came out, and if you see in that second picture with the red, one of those little stubs was slightly leaking, and they were pretty confident that they could get that stopped when I talked to them and saw them, so that won't be a problem anymore. Your irrigation system is a big topic. Aging. I met with Larry yesterday actually and talked about the cost comparison of your water cost, which is reclaimed water, very inexpensive, and your irrigation repair cost. So he asked us to do some investigation and see what that cost comparison is. So for example, if you were to estimate on 1 million gallons of water, you know, how much would that cost? 1 million gallons of water. And I was surprised when I saw this. $670 is not very much for 1 million gallons of water, what you're paying. So you guys are doing a great job as far as water costs.
I want to add that before we did the reclaim project, we were spending $5,000 a month.
Wow.
Because we were using potable water. $5,000 a month to $600, $700 a month.
So that's the monthly cost, the $670, good Lord.
Yeah. Big savings. Big savings.
There's irrigation leaks all over the place. So you see up my little chart there. That's basically $1.67 per 1,000 gallons. Irrigation repair rate, $42.50 an hour. That basically will fill a large swimming pool with an hour worth of labor there. So there's a decision, and maybe you want to talk on that we want to make.
One of the things we talked about during our ride-around was that we know we have a major irrigation redo to do. We've started that at Emmett and Riggs and around the corners on Amanda. One of the things that I hadn't thought about before was what's the economics of repairing a minor leak versus not repairing it. So if we're talking $42.50 an hour, and you did 4 minor repairs a month, we're spending $160 versus wasting a little bit of water. Economically, it doesn't make sense to repair minor leaks other than the majors.
Right. Now, that goes against, of course, as a landscaper and Matt as a manager, everything we believe to just let the irrigation system leak, right? So I would only suggest doing that if there is a future plan for repairing or replacement. Just letting or abandoning the irrigation system, it's a huge asset. You can't just walk away from it. So there needs to be a plan, like you guys have asked for, to replace the whole irrigation system and get it working properly. There are leaks that affect the watering to the plant, so we can't just let those go. There's major flowing that I think we need to do repairs on. Valve's not working, we need to still do.
Right.
But the minor leaks, like you said, what is just a little pinhole, is it worth doing right now, knowing that we're going to be replacing the whole thing here soon?
Glenn, is there a way for you to rank the seriousness of repairs in a certain area so that we can possibly pay attention to those first? Because I know we asked you to do this by grid,
Yeah,
obviously, and then the other thing, part of that, I don't think we asked for renovation with the repair work, for future repair work, because we didn't have the funds necessarily to do it.
Mhm.
But I look at the sprinkler repair bills every month, and we're running a pretty good clip besides the 23,000 that we gave you at the beginning of the contract.
right.
So would it be possible to have you identify problem areas, and as we go through this grid?
We did. When I get to the irrigation proposal,
Okay.
I'll tell you which areas those are.
Okay.
But
There's
just,
another way to do it too, you know, it's the ride-arounds that Matt and I will do with you each week. We can identify the ones that should be repaired versus the ones that doesn't need to be repaired.
Right,
right.
We don't need to come back to a board and make those decisions. We can hopefully make a
Yeah, we'll know.
intelligent decision.
Yeah.
because
on
they're,
site.
they're not currently repairing the repairs. I was talking to Jesus yesterday, and they're not currently repairing the repairs that they're fixing that are poly to PVC. He's fixing poly with poly. And he explained to me why they fix poly with poly, and
Right.
it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But it sort of makes sense that if you're gonna start, eventually replace the whole system to PVC, that you would start doing repairs in PVC.
That's the hard part, because let's say you have 200 feet of poly that's 15 years old. You repair this, it repressurizes the brakes here. Fix that, repressures the brakes here. And so it's just a constant chasing game of that. But when we get to the irrigation replacement proposal, I think it'll make more sense. And I'll tell you what areas we should do first. From there. I'm gonna save that for later. So the tree management, palm trees are gonna be trimmed tomorrow. There is a few dead trees that I noticed on the property, 2 of them. Matt, you have that proposal in a packet for removal and stump grinding. I investigated the trees. I'm not sure why. There's one right next to it that has the same water and they're healthy, so I'm not sure why they died. But we definitely need to get them removed.
Do you do stump grinding too at the same
Yeah.
time?
Since that is a proposal that's on the table, can we get a motion from the dais for possible pulling of those trees?
I move that we replace those, remove those trees.
Remove them.
I second.
Okay, board discussion?
Yeah.
Homeowners discussion? We have 2 dead trees that need to be pulled out at a cost of $855 to the HOA, but they're dead trees and they're not gonna do anybody any good. They're never gonna bloom, so. And, you know,
Will they be replaced or just removed?
removed and stump taken out and ground down. So you'll never know that they were there.
Nothing put in its place?
And nothing put in its place at this time, so we get to that area for renovation possibly. So, any homeowner discussion? I've got a first and a second from the board. How about a vote? Aye?
Right.
Go ahead and pull them out.
All right, we will.
Need a pickup truck?
The tree plan for 2017, we trimmed your trees when we first started. We'd like to continue on the tree trimming plan. You guys have seen that. I'll leave that with you guys when we take off. Community enhancements, we completed the pathway. There's been a lot of work done. So the pathway, the monument, the eminent entrance, there was a pathway that was used by residents and kids and bicycles, and it was always a mess on the sidewalk, so we just created an actual pathway for them to use. That really helped that. They added flowers and plants and rock to all the monuments, and then also eminent entrance, they already changed out all the irrigation along that and added plants and removed some large old plants as well. So looking good, definitely. Wanted to let you guys know there's a 2-year warranty on all of that stuff. On the eminent entrance, there was a couple plants that didn't make it. I don't want to replace them right now, but in September, I'll review them with Matt, and we'll have the actual project, and we'll go out there and we'll count plants, and we'll warranty anything that's missing from that original project at that time.
Matt?
Yep.
Has Profile been cleaning out the 2-story plots? A lot of times they get weeds in there.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, the one off Belgrade and Toy Pines.
Yeah.
And And I understand, Glenn, we're waiting for a rainstorm on the rocks on Emmett?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, down Emmett where we removed those large plants, there was basically dirt under there, so we had patched the rock in those sections on the proposal, and we need a rain for it to wash the dust off of it.
What are those large plants called?
Acacia redolens.
What are they?
Acacia redolens.
Oh, those
Those
old,
big
woody,
desert
great
carpet.
things that have been there since the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. We remove them all the time.
Yeah, down for the agenda next month.
Yeah, I just wanted to know the name of them.
You should remove all of them eventually.
Carol was saying because they're in the parks.
Yeah.
Like in Hunt Park.
Hunt Park.
Kids play ball there.
I
they lose ball
think
in them.
around the playground, it would be good to get them all out of there. 'cause-
Gophers,
I had
trash.
those on my
Oh, God, the
initial-
balls or kids.
My initial presentation, those were like noted as.
So it's like difficult to get out of the ground or they?
No, they're just.
I mean, I'd rather see
recycling,
nothing
yeah.
there than those. Kids, their balls or whatever, go, I don't even want to go in there and look for them.
Okay.
They're huge, I want them out.
You approved the tot lot renovation that's scheduled for the middle of July. You have some pending proposals, sisu tree information for you guys.
And the last thing I saw on the susu trees was a recommendation from Larry to pull those, and I think when I ran into you yesterday, we were talking a little bit different.
Yeah, so you have three options. Basically, they're sisu trees that have roots that are breaking the sidewalks, looking at the sidewalks in some areas.
And walls.
And walls. You can remove the trees, and remove the panels from the sidewalks and the roots, and then re-pour the sidewalks. You can leave the tree, remove the panel from the sidewalk, remove the root, re-pour the sidewalk, or you can just grind the trip hazard on the sidewalk, leave the tree, leave the root, and deal with it in the future, basically. Now, it's a decision, removing large trees, it's up to you guys. Here's the root removal, sidewalk removal option.
Larry, you're kind of familiar with those, so your recommendations are?
I first spotted this problem probably a month ago. I was out walking, and sisal trees are notorious for their root network. They go under sidewalks, they go under walls, they heave them up. If you look at, there's a tree along Amanda that's going into the street. So sisal trees are a big problem. I had them at a different house that I owned. I took them down because I didn't want the problem. They'll even go under the foundation of your house and crack it. So I took mine out. You've heard the three options. One is you can take down the tree. That'll certainly stop the problem. But there's another option, which is to dig down, cut the root off, and block it with some metal blocking so that it can't continue to go that direction. And then he says, well, maybe it'll kill the tree. Well, if you take the tree down right away, it's going to kill the tree anyway. So my recommendation is to try and identify those trees where we can actually cut the root and stop the penetration and put a barrier there.
They're nice
In-
mature
in-
trees.
In our experience with the metal block, it just prolonged the problem. Those trees, I mean, they lift driveways, they crack foundations, they're very, very invasive. I've seen much worse, I would say, as far as sidewalk hazards. And
How many
this,
trees?
viscerally, so here's the grinding.
How many are there, Glenn? How many trees?
It's like 12.
Oh, 12.
12 at the proposal.
12 where the sidewalk route is. The actual removals is only 6.
They're
7.
nice mature trees, aren't they?
Here's the removal map.
They're beautiful trees.
I know, I know.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Thank you. Something I should have done.
That's to remove a sidewalk. Oh, this is the actual removal.
They're quick.
Dave? Dave?
Can I just add this? you know, to Larry's point, I had sisu trees, and I cut them down, and I've attacked the roots for 5 years after.
Yeah.
My daughter had them, 5 years later, you're going after, my brother hasn't spoken to me in 5 years because I talked him into planting. And all of us have taken out those sisus, and we are still trying to kill the roots 5 years later. They're like cattle feed, they grow like corn.
I would,
And they destroy everything. And my recommendation would be, get rid of them where they're raising those sidewalks. I've seen them, fences are buckling, sidewalks buckling.
Does your
I'm
brother?
gonna go ahead and make a recommendation that we get a motion from the board first.
What?
Larry, since this is kind of your,
Say it. What do you want, what are you asking me, Dave?
well, I guess we have a couple of options, so are you feeling more comfortable with one or the other?
I guess I have to rely on our professional landscape company, what they recommend that we do.
Well, I'd certainly like to look at $6,000 versus $12,000.
Well, no, so those are paired together. So one is the removal of the sidewalk.
Oh, okay, so they're together.
Yes, correct.
14 and 6 is 20,000.
Exactly. Or there's just the grinding option, which I have here, and that's grinding all those locations where there's a trip hazard. And
Yeah,
that's,
the way they do that is when he's talking about grinding is we grind the trip hazard, so when the sidewalk goes up maybe an inch or above a certain amount, they come in and they grind that down so it's smooth again. So we're not necessarily eliminating the tree, we're not really doing anything to the root, we're just kind of buying some time. You'll see it's a much less expensive option, and at least it kind of can buy you some time to make a decision.
Yeah,
so.
except that it's
How
lost
much
money.
time?
It
Yeah.
is,
Right.
you're right.
It's
No,
lost
totally.
money.
But like I said, if you weren't sure about one or the other.
How much time do you think?
Well, every
Or is
5
it
years,
keep
you have to
up?
grind it again.
Oh, okay.
Right.
No, totally, you're right about that. I was just-
Okay, so let me
So-
review, we're in board discussion right now. We asked Larry for his opinion being the liaison. Larry's turned it over to Profile, so I'm gonna ask Profile what you, without looking at money, what do you think the best solution is?
do the ultimate solution, make it right now. Don't prolong it, don't do the grinding, remove the trees, fix the sidewalk.
Okay,
Whenever we remove the trees, we treat the root systems also. So we will kill the root systems.
can we get a motion from the board so we move to board discussion, or audience
I'll
discussion?
move that we remove the trees. How many?
There's,
Eight to 6. 8.
I want to make sure of how many we're talking.
8.
8?
Yep.
Not like 4.
8 trees cost us what?
20,000?
No, 8 trees was the 67, and then it's on the map.
This is the 6.
That's the removal, there's the dot where those are, and this is the
Sidewalk.
sidewalk, and that's the rest of those, yeah.
So,
Well, let me think about this. The sidewalks are city property,
right,
so we can get the city to replace those.
Save us
City, that's a city,
14,000.
that's a city issue.
Isn't
do you
it?
feel comfortable,
Maybe.
Larry, about putting this on the July agenda and having Matt check with the city to see what the
Yeah, I
liability?
mean, a month is not gonna hurt anything.
Okay, yeah.
So let's table it, but I think we've had the city do some other sidewalk repairs. It's their sidewalk, so if we can get the city to do it, we'll save that money.
Yeah.
Okay, is that in the form of a motion?
I'll move that we delay it till July meeting.
Second?
Second.
I think we've had board discussion. Any audience discussion? We're gonna table this for July. You'll be coming back in July, right, Scott? Sure. Right, Scott? I mean, right, Scott?
All right, the next on there is the erosion repair in the Hunt Park.
Boy.
Is everybody familiar with this one?
Yeah.
This is basically, we know what this is, we talked about it at the executive session last week. Matt is going to do, rather than go to the attorney first, he's going to go to the homeowner and see if we can get some,
One thing, Dave, I need to caution you, don't use any names or
No.
addresses.
homeowner. So this is pending, whatever Matthew turns
Okay.
up. Okay?
Okay. Any questions about it, anybody? About the work being done? Okay. Next topic, the bulk trash removal and monitoring in parcels 5 and 10. So basically, you have an issue with bulk trash in those parcels. You all know about it, and you're wondering a cost to monitor that regularly and remove that bulk trash. We went back to all of our records of doing it and tried to figure out a consistent pattern and how much it's costing us for the dump fees to get rid of this trash. It's so up and down that it's really hard to gauge and tell you, it's going to be this much every month. So what we're offering for you guys is Tuesdays and Fridays each week to monitor those areas and collect anything that's there. We'll get pictures and then bill based off of the dump fees or those things that are disposed of. Just case by case basis.
So, any kind of number you can throw out? First of all, you're gonna take pictures of the trash that you're
Right.
picking up? Okay.
Right.
And then second of all, any kind of, if you pick up a mattress, it's $25. If you pick up a mattress and stove, it's $50 or?
Well, they're gonna get a dump cost, right?
Yeah, it's a dump.
Our minimum dump is $50.
Okay.
So we do this other communities just like yours that have the same issues, unfortunately, but sometimes there's weeks that have nothing, so you don't get charged anything. And then there's a couple of weeks where there's, a bunch of stuff,
End of the
So,
month.
we hate to, that's how we like to do it. That way, we'll document it. We're gonna be upfront and let you know, but if there's a problem, you'll pay.
Let me give the community some background. We're talking about two of our, what we call them KB North and KB South. They're the cluster homes. There's a lot of in and out folks there, and they throw a lot of stuff out as they're moving out. They're supposed to call the city because they can get the city to come and pick it up, but they don't. And so we find mattresses, we find recliners, we find stoves, we find anything. And we've been trying to solve that problem for years and years and years. Numbered the trash cans and send them flyers, and we even had our prior landscape company put the trash cans and that stuff in the driveway so they'd have to get out and move it. We've tried everything. It came to me, there's only one solution, and that is to have a regular survey or a regular route. Go through there a couple times a week, because it's not fair to the homeowners that live there to see that junk laying out there. So we're gonna have to pay for that, but it's the only way we can solve the problem, is have a regular route that they pick it up. So if they can give us what it is they picked up, what it costs to dump it, I think then we'll charge it to KB North or KB South and let them foot the bill.
It's a nominal fee. It's not our main business, so we're doing more as like a.
It's a service to us.
Service,
That's
exactly.
right.
You asked us.
So let's get a motion from the board for hiring Procol to pick up.
My idea, so I'll make the motion that we hire Propal to do this twice a week, monitoring of those two locations. Pick up the trash, give us a picture and what it is what your dump bill is, and we'll get it paid.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, board discussion. I just would like to say I think it's a great idea, especially for Procol to come to the table and say, we're not gonna charge you a monthly rate, we're gonna charge you what it actually costs us.
Yeah.
I'd like to put a rider on that for Matthew, though, to try to determine who these homeowners are, and see if we can recoup any of this money. But I think by the time they get the bulk trash out, they're probably
100 miles down the
gone.
road.
Yep, they're probably
Yeah.
gone, so.
It's the end of the month. I don't know.
We have a first, we have a second, we have board discussion, we have open homeowner discussion. Any personal 5 to 10 members here
How are
tonight?
you gonna charge north and south? How are you gonna split that up?
We're gonna talk about that. They actually have a separate reserve fund
Okay,
that we'll talk about it.
okay, thank you.
Any
It's
homeowner
for their
discussion?
benefit, so they should pay for it.
Okay, need a vote? Aye? All in favor?
All right.
I'm to the end of your list.
Yeah, the next is the irrigation project. We've all been waiting for it, so I brought.
Now, I've gone out and gotten another quote, and it's $50,000 for the whole community. So, we need you to be competitive.
50,000?
50,000, the whole community.
Done.
Richard said
Thank
he'd
you.
take a shovel and do it all personally.
Oh, yeah.
Do it for 48.
50 years.
That
Retirement plan.
That trencher runs well for
Glenn and I we worked on this together with our enhancements manager and our division. And we know that you wanted it broken down as best as possible. You know, we've done several of these projects in large communities, and, you know, we've done, most of them decide to do large chunks at once, because they get a major bulk discount. Just to get there, you know, we don't really piece it too much. So what we did is we broke it down per clock. So there's a map on that first page, basically the second page. There's 16 timers, right, Glenn?
Yes.
So there's 16 sections essentially that we've marked it down to. And what we've decided to do is, I know that there's, I think clock B has already been done, because it basically runs Emmet and those enhancements that we just recently did. But clocks A, B, C, D, E, and I believe those top clocks.
Yeah, A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah, are basically your main controllers, and so those are, like, if we were to call priority one, is what we would recommend. We weren't really sure exactly what the thought process is on this, or if you wanted to do a bulk, just do the whole thing at once.
Let me give you a little more background. I told you before that we used to spend $60,000 a year on our reclaim. Now we're spending 10, no, it isn't that much. Let's say we saved $50,000 a year for the last 7 years. We saved $350,000. I think we paid for the whole project.
Yeah, the bulk price for everything came out to, if you were to do it all at once, $307,000 when we went through. We went through valve by valve by valve. So it's taken a couple months, and so I appreciate your patience.
And Emmett's not on here, right?
Correct. Yes. Oh, actually, yeah, is that added into this total?
That's the B. No, it's not.
Okay.
So this is the total now, the way the
Right,
round stands?
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Not B.
Are we ready for board discussion on this, Larry, or do we need a motion?
Well, I think we need to discuss it, you know, my general preference is to go ahead and get it done, because we've saved enough money to afford to do it. And if we don't do it, we're gonna keep throwing good money after bad money.
Yeah.
And we got the money in the reserves.
Yeah, so here's my question to you, Larry. The last major project that we had was the wall painting, common wall painting area, which I think was well over $300,000, so. And I'm not sure what we had in our reserve and what we had in our account at that time, but I know we have about,
800, 900,000.
yeah, we got, between the two, the reserve account and the operating budget, we have about 1.4 million now.
Right.
Some of that belongs to parcel 5 and parcel 10. So my question is this a major concern, $307,000 when we chunked out $350,000?
Well, I'll ask Matt, what are we putting into the reserves every month? It's significant dollars, isn't it?
It's about
It's soon paid back.
7,000, I think.
How much?
About 7.
This is where we are with the reserve generators,
Yeah,
853.
every month, money's going out of the general,
Right.
our
Yes,
assessments.
it's about
in the reserves.
7,000,
Yeah, you guys are doing $7,801.50.
which we can objectively look at when we do our budget meeting, possibly increase, because we have some other issues on the agenda tonight to possibly invest some funds to make some good interest rates and some upcoming CDs. Unfortunately, the CDs aren't coming up until December for renewal, but we have the money right now to put into them, and we can get like 1.5% for 12 months that I dug up someplace. So I think we should possibly table this till July and maybe Glenn, you can come back and show us where the hot areas are.
Okay.
You know, maybe take this grid and just kind of number it a little bit, and start with the, you know, the $3,000 one.
Can I ask, what you're spending in irrigation repairs each year?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
What you're spending in irrigation
But
repairs
if
each
it's
year?
fun,
Because,
blows out a leak someplace else,
Right.
right?
because
Pressure builds back.
2-year warranty, right, so,
That goes away.
yeah, imagine no irrigation repairs for 2 years at least, and it's a brand new
How much is
system.
it on
Yeah,
that?
this year, with the 23,000 that we gave you at the beginning of the year, we spent 35,152.24 on irrigation repairs.
Yeah.
That's through last
That's-
night.
That's
So-
only, that's
So
only
it definitely
half a
makes
year.
sense.
And that's
to-
only half a year,
That's
so,
like half a year.
you know, you're gonna be looking at another, well, 35 less 23.
So it
and then-
is like a third.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, this time of year, the irrigation's running full time right now, yeah.
I think it makes economic sense to go ahead and get it done because that stops the bleeding.
So do I.
Does this include like the area behind Hunt Park, which is where all that poly is being revealed now, or is that,
Yes,
It's everything.
yep, everything.
It's your entire drip system. So
Yeah.
what it is basically your main line comes in, we'll cut it right there. We're gonna put an isolation valve. If you don't currently have an isolation valve at each location, we're gonna put an isolation valve because it's definitely something that we recommend, and it's a cheap part, it's easy when it's there, so we're just gonna do that. We add a brand new valve, at every location, and then brand new hard piping out and distributed properly to every one of your plants.
I heard what Dave says about putting money, getting 1.5%, but I'd like to have somebody do the financial analysis on, is that worth not doing
to
this?
tie up 144,000 is what it would be, Larry? And I think Lisa probably could answer that question, and I agree with you. Probably doesn't, it's probably more worth it to get the sprinkler system repaired. Can we have easy payment terms?
Absolutely. I
Okay.
mean, you,
I mean,
your
you work with
customers
a-
have always been that way with you since day one, even though we've really only been here about 6 months now. It seems like longer, we've gotten a lot done and we've definitely got on a good right away, but, absolutely, this is a project that's not gonna happen overnight, so payment terms over time, absolutely.
Okay.
And we would put a timeline together and we could put some progress
In
payments.
retrospect, we shouldn't have spent the 23,000.
You know, hindsight's 20/20, yeah, I mean, there's things that we didn't know about the property at that time. So I agree. No,
It's just lost money.
you're right. Yeah, no, you're right, but, there were also some things that were, that needed
If
to be
if we
done.
were a cash-strapped community, which we're not, it might be incrementally, easy to do, but we have the money, and we can get it done, and stop the bleeding to save the money.
Makes sense.
So why don't we table this till July and let you bring what you can bring as far as the high priority areas? I think, we're having the board discussion now. Is there any homeowner discussion on this?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Why would you wait?
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Good observation.
Yeah.
The high priorities are, like we said, the A, B, C, D, E, F.
Okay.
It's parcel 1, I believe, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. Yep.
That's where you're getting a lot of the
It's like
action.
holes in the dike.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna get repair costs in the
Besides
interim.
being economical and everything, think about environmentally, we're wasting water.
Yeah.
Not just like, you're wasting water because it's leaking.
And
So you might as
exactly,
well get them now, especially if it's pumping out more during the summertime
Oh, yeah.
and everything, so I mean. you
it's
just-
exactly what Glenn said earlier and what Jesus told me yesterday, the sprinkler tech. You replace 2 feet here and then 2 feet down the line, you get another poly leak, so.
Right, and the
I
more
would-
it runs, the
I
more it's
just,
gonna.
I don't like making the repairs, knowing that, we're gonna be back out.
I think we should just
So,
go ahead and do it.
I think we should go ahead and do it, but I think we should put a caveat on it until we have a chance to sit down and look at the financials and exactly where we're at. We have a new treasurer now, and we don't want to be spending money we don't have. And I just want to make sure that we can finance this thing.
I thought we had the money though.
Okay,
Well,
the
got the money.
reserves,
The reserve
reserve
has
is reserves.
600,000 in it.
Huh?
So are you proposing to take 307 out of the 600,000?
we have a payment plan, right?
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
have to take all
absolutely.
307.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will not, and it won't be tomorrow, you won't get a bill, and I won't be asking Matt for the check, you know? We gotta put it on the schedule, so that's the timeline, just to let you know, like, where we're at. I mean, this is a large project, we've gotta do a lot of preparation on our side of things, so if you were to say tonight, let's go, we wouldn't be starting tomorrow. So we'd get the wheels going, and we would put together
So
that for you.
the big bite is 307, but we need to know what the little bites are gonna be so we can do financial planning,
Absolutely.
right?
I think that's a good way, because Larry, if you don't feel, and if I want to hear you say, we have 606,000 approximately in reserve right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't include parcel 5 and parcel 10, so
Right.
in order to accommodate this project.
And you gotta remember, once we stop the bleeding,
You're
you know,
saving.
that's all payback.
Yeah, we don't wanna just keep putting money in.
So we've got homeowner discussion, are we ready to put this on motion and vote on it, or do
Let's
we
hear from the homeowners.
any more homeowners? I like your evaluation, very short.
What's the length of time for something like that, months?
Yeah, we would probably be 3 to 4 months. And so what you're looking at is what we would require on the project of this size, probably 10% down. And then we would do progress payments
And then as you
at
get further
25% along,
It's
yeah.
not like how they build a pool, you do so
Exactly.
much and you pay,
Yeah.
you do so
That's
much and you
everybody-
pay.
that's the little bite part.
Yeah.
Do you have any
And
idea?
So more than likely, it would be over a course of 4 months, like, let's just say that. And then, so 25% every month, let's just say simple math. But, you know, we would do a drive on a monthly basis just to inspect the progress that we have made and, you know, kind of approve that where we're at and go from there.
Let me ask you something, if we were to approve this, would we get some relief on sprinkler repairs, knowing that the whole system is eventually gonna be replaced?
Yeah, I would say sprinkler repairs to the drip, I would definitely say are, at this point, non-existent for a minimum of 2 years
Okay.
as the warranty.
Okay, well, I mean, for the existing system,
In
because
the
obviously it's
interim.
gonna take you.
Yes.
This is going back to what we talked about earlier. Repair the majors and leave the little ones alone.
We're okay with that plan, as long as there's a game plan, and like I said, if there's a leak and we know we're getting there, but we're not there until maybe next week, we'll make the small little repair, until we're there next week and we make the proper repair, so absolutely.
We just don't wanna bleed out of both pockets.
So, and now, is this a motion to proceed, or is this a motion to?
Well, I haven't heard enough
I have a
from
question. When
homeowners.
does the 2-year warranty start?
Has each section's done?
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Sign off on each section.
Any motion yet?
I say do
Second.
it, because we
I
gotta
just
fix
feel like
it.
you're
It's
gonna
20 years old.
Get it started, get it done. Yeah.
I move we go ahead with the program.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
second.
we have a motion, we have seconded, let's go ahead and vote on it.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
It's like you're plumbing.
Now,
your
just,
house.
time's getting really short here, and we promise these other people their time, but I do have one other quick thing that I want to talk to you about since you're here. And that's our upcoming contract, which is due September the 1st. You very generously, October the 1st, I'm sorry, you very generously provided us with the free program and with the new contract pricing. We wanted to get some homeowner response from it, and I think in July, we should have a decision for you.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you can come to the meeting in July or send.
Yeah, both.
You know, but I think we'll have a decision at that point. We really don't have enough of a homeowner forum today to, I know there's some concerns with some of the work that's being performed, which has been addressed, it's been fixed. I'm all for signing a contract. One of the things that I presented to Vision as the president was, and they went along with it, was why not give us a 100-year contract, because we basically have a 30-year quit clause on our 2 major contracts, which is you and Vision, and with a 100-year contract, we can pull that pricing. But that's a different discussion for a different meeting, so kind of,
At this point, we have a 3-year lock on your pricing,
okay,
so, you know, you're good for the next 3 years regardless,
okay.
so.
So 2 plus 2,
That's awesome.
we're 1, so plus 2.
Exactly.
Cool,
Okay,
great.
any other questions for Protocol?
There was just one little
One more?
thing, but we can talk about another time if you want, just the shade issues in that park.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, there it is, here's a few pictures of it. Basically, there's a section to start thinking about for 2017, in the park off Rico. lots of trees, lots of shade, no grass, no summer grass underneath those trees. In the past, on other properties, we've cut that curb line in and added rock to those sections and put plants in. So that's a project when you have your free time, just go and take a look at it and keep it back in your mind.
Grass will never grow under those
No,
trees.
so
Right.
extend this over, right?
Right.
Just bring this over, yeah.
I love
There's a
those
few
trees.
different locations there, and it'd be really nice to add some rocks and plants, maybe a bench
Yeah.
or a barbecue or something. I think it'd be a good way to enhance it.
You know, because we haven't talked about the contract yet, Matt said you were gonna step up to the plate for our open house.
Yeah, so back in October, we're gonna do a movie night, so
So, you
Yeah.
know,
we'll get you guys in there to contribute.
Absolutely.
you know, you just mentioned something that's a great idea, as another enhancement to our community, is rock this or whatever, put some benches in and put some,
Barbecues, yeah.
barbecue
That'd be
grills
really
in,
Yeah,
some picnic tables.
that's a nice park.
That's a nice park. That would be
Yeah.
nice
I
for
love those
that.
trees.
Oh, yeah.
Larry, have you seen the area that they
These
did
trees
in
are gorgeous.
Cactus Alley over there? Carol and I went over there today,
Where?
and saw Cactus Alley, where they put the,
I haven't, I didn't.
they put the,
The rocks.
the brick.
Looks
So
good.
this
Always
picture
wanted,
right
I
here.
didn't even know what,
I saw the picture, yeah.
it
Yeah.
looks.
I mean, besides what you did there, you also put some big boulders there, which I think is a great idea to keep
Cars
the
can't
cars,
drive.
cars
Those
off
were there. Those were there. We just replaced
Were
them.
they there?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, great.
I didn't see them in the picture.
But anyway, I think we need to do some of those things to enhance livability in the community.
I would tend to agree.
These monthly tours that we go on will be very good for us to find all these little things
And there's
that
a
we can
playground
improve
there.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot of everything for
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
this
nice.
is Rico North.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having us.
Well, thank you, Richard,
Thank
thank
you
you again.
very much.
You know, it really means a lot to us to have you come. And I know you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning to start work, so.
He's asleep.
Yeah.
I sleep too.
I'll bring the beer tomorrow.
I don't drink, but.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very
Thank you,
much.
guys, appreciate it.
See you tomorrow.
Thorough.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, nice to have met you. Nice to, oops, sorry, go ahead. Nice to have met you.
Good seeing you.
Appreciate to see you.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Greg, Brian, I'm sorry. But you know, I just got to tell you, we just spent all of our money. Have a nice day. This is Greg and Brian from our security patrol company. I don't know if there's any homeowners here that were here last month that had some issues about security patrol, but we invited them because there were issues brought out on the table. If the homeowners aren't here, shame on them. It was on the agenda. They got an email blast on it, so I think maybe we'll just start off and let them talk a little bit about what they're doing, and then I know I have questions, and I'm sure the rest of the board has questions. Sure, take it away.
Yep, so I'll start just by giving everyone a general overview of what we provide here at Cooper Commons. We are here every single night, 7 nights a week, and we do 3 random hours of patrol every night. So we keep that mixed up just so people don't get locked into our schedule and know when we're gonna be here so they can, sneak into the parks and cause damage and things like that. So some of you have probably seen us, we're in fully marked vehicles, overhead lights on top and all of that. All of our officers are in uniform, so our uniform is essentially what we're wearing, and then the officers also have security across the back of the shirt, which we don't have, but it just makes them more visible, especially at night. While they're on patrol, we do get into things like homeowners that leave garage doors open. We try to help you guys out as much as we can as far as that goes. We don't want anybody to have a bad morning and walk outside and, either their car is missing or it's just tools or their golf clubs are missing out of their garage because they forgot to close the garage door. So if you do see our officers, I encourage you to stop them and introduce yourself. They like to get to know the residents. They like to know more about what's going on, what some of the issues are. Definitely some of the hot spots in the community. We like to know those things. I know over the years here at Cooper Commons, one of the main areas of concern has always been Emmett Park. I know last year around this time, we had some kids or someone that was stealing the volleyball nets. So we try to focus some of our efforts more towards the hot spots. Again, only being here 3 hours a night, we're kind of limited as to the time we can spend in certain areas, but if we know where those hot spots are, we can, redirect our officers to take a closer look into some of those areas. On top of the security patrol, we also do parking enforcement for you. So 2 nights a week, 2 random nights a week, we do parking enforcement, and that typically occurs Monday through Thursday. We don't do parking enforcement usually on the weekends or holidays, just to avoid tagging friends or family that may be spending the night at your homes. So as far as the parking enforcement goes, we turn in all those reports to Vision. So they get those reports, send out the violation notices to the homeowners to try to keep the streets as clean as possible. Some of you have probably woke up in the morning and seen, these lining the streets, with all the cars that are parked on the streets. Again, as it says on here, it's just a friendly reminder. We use these. We don't use the big nasty orange stickers that you got to sit there and peel it off a centimeter at a time. A lot of communities do use those. They're effective, but there's often a lot of angry residents that attend those meetings. So this is a more friendly way to do it, but also gets the message out there that the CCNR state that you cannot park overnight. So with that, I'll kind of open it up to any questions that you guys have about the patrol
I think
service.
we'll start with the board first.
Sure.
Do we need a motion to discuss this, Larry, or do we just?
No, it's just a discussion. Question.
Personally,
Wait a minute, Dave. Do your guys still have those electronic check-in points around the
Yes.
community?
Yes, we have the handheld devices with the buttons around the community to verify, where they are.
Okay.
And then also, all of our patrol vehicles have GPS tracking, so we know where they are within the community as far as that goes as well.
Matt, are we getting reports on their patrols?
We get the reports nightly, sometimes a week.
So somebody reviewing those?
Yeah, I get those.
What are the buttons you're talking
Or there's electronic buttons that
Right.
tells them they have to
It's a
activate
tracking
a
system.
tracking
Oh,
system
okay.
for their guys.
about? Okay, thanks. I live over by the pool in Heritage Park.
Okay.
There's always like a group of kids there at night, teenagers late, kind of hanging around in there, and I know there's been damage in the past. I mean, do they go around that area always, right?
Right, yeah, we do check the pool.
We hit literally every street every night, at least once.
Wow.
We do check the pool. I personally patrol this, so I know I attempt to do it, hit the pool twice a night. Check the bathrooms real quick, make sure like the male restroom toilet is flowing all the time. I jiggle that. Check the gates, check the pool, make sure there's no, anything not wanted in the pool. And then the playground right behind the pool.
Good, thanks, yeah.
So there's a curfew at 10 o'clock, we want the kids out of the parks.
Okay, that
Kids.
is,
We can't do anything about adults, but we want the kids out of the park at 10.
right. And that was actually a question I had. I've seen, last Friday, I saw a couple kids running around the streets. I encouraged they go home.
Yeah, there's a curfew.
They had some
so-
choice words, and I said, okay, well,
There-
don't break stuff.
There seems to be a fine line drawn between what the police department needs to take care of and what the security patrol needs to take care of.
Yes, sir.
I can tell you, I have 11 years' experience with the police department as a volunteer, and there were certain things they sent volunteers to do, and they wouldn't, like, open garage doors, we weren't allowed to do open garage doors, because if there was a burglar in the house, you get shot.
Right.
So, when I was looking at the contract and looking at the numbers, I looked at a couple of different things. First of all, I looked at the too frequent nights of parking patrol, and I said to myself, how come we can't do parking patrol and regular patrol every night of the week? And if it has to be advanced to 4 hours, I understand that, but in 3 hours, if you divide 180 minutes by 1,630 homes, basically the driver should be able to go around, if he didn't stop and put parking violations on or talk to people, should technically be able to go around the community 9 times. So let's say you're putting parking violations on and you're talking to people in the community, I don't see that you would cut that any more in half, and it would be at least 5 times through the community. We do have a problem out here, the police department has told me, with wolf packing. Have you guys heard that term?
No.
Wolf packing is, especially at Hunt Park, it's where 2 teenage males will get a teenage female down in the drainage. And that's something that I don't think you should be handling, but
Right.
They get drunk and they do some lewd things, so, you need to know about that, because I've seen you guys parked at Hunt Park, probably doing paperwork or something, and they could be right there underneath your nose and you never know it.
And when I check the wash, I do get out,
Yeah,
right under
it's
the.
that tunnel,
Surprise.
it's that
the,
tunnel that goes under
What are they
Amanda.
called? The wing walls or?
Culvert.
Culvert.
And then,
thank
and
you.
then there was a period of about the first 4 months of this year where we weren't getting no parking violations, and I don't know if that was our mistake, or if that was your mistake, or if that was a combination of both of ours. But, I mean, I think Matt brought it to your attention, and they started up again in April, May.
Yeah, we've been consistent.
So, yeah, and they've been consistent again. So what we're looking at here today basically is, we asked Matt to bring you in today because we were gonna look at either tweaking this contract or going out to bid and find another vendor for this contract. But you guys have been out here for a long time, and I don't think anybody can do the job any better. I think that we need to tweak the hours, and we need to tweak how you patrol. And there's a little give and take on this, because Carol and I were talking about this earlier today, and it basically came down to 10 cents per household. For 30 days, it's $3 a month, or $36 more a year, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but our HOA association fees are only $37 a year. And we don't want to throw another $36 on top of our $37 association fees on security patrol. The other thing, I know I'm rambling, but the other thing you need to know is Commander Heikes at the South Substation. I sat down with him last week, and he gave me a report, and we've had, in the last 4 months of the year, we've had 4 vehicle burglaries in Cooper Commons. I had a bait vehicle parked out in front of my house for 2 weeks with the keys in the ignition, golf clubs in the back seat, and a computer on the front seat. Nobody touched it. So I don't really think we have a crime problem, but I think we need a crime deterrent, and I think that's what you guys do best. And I'm all for talking about how we can tweak this contract, if the rest of the board is okay with that.
Sure. And just to talk about the parking enforcement a little bit more, I know there are nights that we're here for 3 hours, and literally that whole 3 hours is nothing but parking enforcement.
Okay.
And they can't get all the cars.
Actually, I did it last,
So-
I'm trying to think, Wednesday, and I actually neglected 2 streets. And then I continued on, counted really quick, and it was, I think it was 17 cars remaining that I didn't get.
What are the hours you're out here for 3 hours?
It's
Vary.
random. On the parking nights, I've encouraged the officers to start parking after midnight. A lot of people come in at, 11, or leave at 11.
I
you
believe
know.
your CCNRs are probably midnight as well. 11 or midnight is pretty standard, so.
So what do you think is a fair request to you to do the job that it sounds like we're expecting you to do, which is parking patrol? And then the other question is weekends and holidays, and I think the board needs to make a decision on that as well.
Right.
What do you think is fair at this point? What would you come to us with?
If you ask me, I would say I'd probably say at least half an hour longer with parking. However, if we're consistently doing it, you're saying maybe, I'm just saying every night, it's gonna become less. Does that make sense?
It does, but I
So
think
if we're
it's the
doing it every
same,
night,
it's the same people. You probably are seeing the same cars over
They
and
are.
over.
A lot often, especially there's one house, there's 4 vehicles parked in front of it. And I want to go knock like, hey, dude, but it's not my business, not my lane.
So if
And
we
it
were-
gets time consuming with giving out all the notices too, when you're in and out of the patrol car 60, 70 times.
It's
and
fun.
That's,
So if we were to add another hour per night, 7 days a week, and ask you to do parking patrol mixed in with the other patrol?
Mhm.
Because the other patrol comes natural. When you're driving up and down the
Right.
streets, you're
Right.
looking for parked vehicles, you're gonna, if you see a crime in action, you're not gonna say, hey, I'm doing parking patrol tonight. So I'm thinking possibly to give you a little bit of a help is to raise this to 4 hours, 7 nights a week, let you mix up the parking patrol and the enforcement patrol.
Okay.
You're working with the police department. The other thing that Commander Hike has told me, and I don't know if it was you or somebody prior to you, hopefully it was somebody prior to you, that they've had a lot of interaction with the courtesy patrol and they don't want the interaction. They'll show up at a domestic violence call and the courtesy patrol will show up. And, if the police are there, they just ask for you to not be involved.
I'll talk to my officers, tell them,
So-
stay out of it, put it in your report. You saw a PD on site and leave it at that.
So that is board discussion at this point. Can we get some feedback from the rest of the board? my proposal is to go to 4 hours.
I think 4 hours is better, because we had so many people complain they weren't seeing you at all.
Okay,
For the
and
past couple
previously,
months.
in December, I believe, we changed our program here, where we were doing 28 hours a week, and then in December, it scaled back to 21 hours, I believe.
Did,
So,
we know that.
yeah. So that's probably, you know, some people not seeing us quite as much. It's
Yeah,
good because
a lot of people
we're not
did
here quite
notice,
as
like,
much.
where are you? We used to
I
see
wouldn't
them all
expect
the
to see
time.
you between midnight
They,
and 5
they
a.m.
seem to feel
Right.
better when they know you're
Mm.
here, even though it's a
What's our
church.
monthly now, Matt?
Our monthly on this now is $23.99.
So what will it be?
What will it be? That's the question.
We'll have to check the numbers on that,
So
so.
I'm gonna ask, suggest we, table it until July
We
then.
get some more
And I just come
information.
back in July. and-
Yeah, if you guys just wanna do the tweaks on the contrast and give us the number, then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we'll just operate at the 3-hour rate,
Right.
the way you're operating.
I would ask if we're changing hypothetically to 4 hours a night, are we doing parking 4 hour, or 7 nights a week, 5 nights a week, staying at 2 nights a week, just so I can,
Oh, I
Well,
don't
what
know.
about the weekends and
Do
holidays?
we not want?
You know,
Well,
if we back those out,
And
then
just
you're
keep
doing
in
it 5
mind,
nights a week.
too, that when they are doing the parking, they're more focused on the parking and documenting plate numbers and addresses and things like that. Their eyes are focused on vehicles, not the parks, not the streets, the breezeways. So it's taking them away from,
The
I
security.
don't-
Getting
I
the
don't-
common areas
Yeah,
a
I
little more
don't,
attention.
I don't think you can do both. same
it's,
time.
yeah, it's very hard. I've done garages and parking, but, yeah.
Do we want to continue with
Well-
no parking enforcement on weekends and holidays?
But security on weekends
But
and
just do the
holidays.
security on those days and then,
So Red-
because we kids are around on weekends,
Right,
out and
your
about.
families on
Can we
weekends.
send a
Yeah.
proposal for
Yeah.
keeping
Well,
2 nights
especially,
and going to 5 nights?
especially
and-
holidays like Christmas and New Year, you know there's parties going on.
So if you're just driving around doing enforcement, easily you can cover it in 3 hours.
Oh, yes.
So let's
Well,
tweak
that's-
that a little bit more and say, let's pick the two parking random days. Let you determine which days are gonna be for 4 hours apiece. And just add, basically what we're gonna be doing is adding 2 hours to
2
our
hours.
contract.
right.
That's actually what I
We
was
can put together that option as well.
gonna,
Any discussion on that? And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday,
Just security.
Saturday and
Just
Sunday?
security.
mhm.
No, Lisa, is that what you're saying?
No, security on those days, yes.
Security,
on the
but no
weekends.
parking.
But no
Right,
parking
right, you can't
enforcement
do
on the
it.
weekends and holidays.
Yeah.
And another concern I had that you said for the burglaries, my personal opinion is a double-edged sword. We do have the overhead lights. Currently, we do not use them unless, you know, a couple situations, we could use those as a deterrent. I don't like them because if I'm breaking into a car and I see an orange light a block away, I'm gonna stop, let it go
That's-
by, and then continue. Does
You're
that
the
make sense?
professional, that's your call.
But we can, it's a deterrent, and people will see us. They can't, it's hard to
Some
deny
people will
orange
see the
blinking
lights and
lights.
will go, oh, but there's a security guy, so it's a,
Right.
some
Most,
people will like it.
most are the properties
See,
like
if I was a kid and I would say, oh my God, the cops, and run.
Right.
And not
The
come back,
original theory behind hiring the guys several years ago was the deterrence value,
Right. So lights.
right?
Right. And I
Right.
believe
I
parking
remember
enforcement
the lights.
came after the fact, so.
Right.
I remember.
And we can easily plug the lights in and run them every night, all 3 hours, 4, however, well, I don't know if you want us to parking, but that'd be up to you guys.
Why
We
don't you
can.
do the lights on the nights you actually do the parking tickets
Mhm.
and everything, because then you're not actually like, you know, going after somebody, and then like on the nights that you're patrolling and everything, don't use them.
Well,
That way you can
that's a
actually
good
catch
idea.
them in the act and stuff
Right.
like that.
Okay.
You can do that.
And that's
That's good.
fine,
That's good.
whatever you guys
You
want.
can always tweak anything anytime.
And I believe too, typically when we're out checking the parks, they'll run the lights. So anybody that pulls in along those main streets, they see those lights, they know security's out in the parks.
It's good.
You
And then
know,
when I do garage doors, I hit the lights on the door, well, right off the door.
Mhm.
Personally, I don't want to get greeted with a shotgun, so,
No,
you know, I want them to see it's an orange light and the car says security, I have a flashlight, I knock.
Right.
So I think that's a good idea.
So we're gonna go ahead and, does the audience have any further discussion on this?
I just have a question. You said there's no parking patrol on the weekends.
Correct.
Does that mean we're allowed to park on the street on the weekends? Or are you just not getting caught?
Basically, you're not getting caught.
What I understood is
You
if
know what I
you're,
mean? Like,
I understood is if your brother
You're
came to
still not
visit,
supposed
we're
to.
not tagging him, or we're not tagging
well,
you for 3
see, I understood,
cars.
like if I was going to have somebody who was staying overnight, I would have to call Vision and say
And we do get
And
the
we
phone
still
calls.
would
Still do.
encourage you to do that.
that, But what you're saying really is that we're allowed to park on the street on the weekend.
No, you're not.
No, it's still not.
Just the only people in this room are allowed to.
And we do,
I think you hit the nail right on the head.
we do not mark,
I refuse to answer that, because they tend to incriminate me.
we do not, mark ticket, marked cars or unmarked cars, law enforcement style, whatever. And then if you do call us, hey, my mom's here, whatever, we also, you call us, give us a heads up, we don't mark those, so.
Is your phone number on the website, so if anybody has a concern, they can call?
Actually, it was a question I
Is
had
it
for
on,
you guys.
is it on your community
Okay.
website? I'm not sure. I
What
can
kind of
give out the
concern?
number.
Or you
Do
have a phone
you
number?
ride around with a cell phone, or we homeowners?
We do.
You have a
Free to call
dedicated
you?
line.
Actually, and that was another thing I was gonna bring up. I got a call one night with an address. I showed up. It was a dog complaint. Dog's going crazy. I showed up, waited 15 minutes listening for a dog. Then I realized there's two Rivieras. There's a place and a
Yeah.
drive.
Oh, yeah, they
So
did, yeah.
please,
It's very annoying.
if you give us an address, give us place, drive.
No,
whatever.
if we need to call you and it's not within your 4 hours. you
You're
just
probably
go-
just gonna get a voicemail or,
And you call the cops if it's that bad.
right.
I think the police department said that there really is nothing that is not warranted to call the police. They'll answer any calls. I mean, they would rather answer a non-emergency call, have it not turn into an emergency, than have an emergency call and have you think, well, should I call them?
Right.
So,
And we are actually on 8 hours a night, so we might not be on this property, but if you have a concern, we will definitely come down. And then by all means, please leave us a voicemail, and if you want to follow up, let us know, please. Some nights I don't know if I want to call at midnight and follow up, hey, I kicked the guy's dog.
Do you
Sorry, I'm
typically
joking.
get contacted for dogs barking?
No, but I did do parking, I think it was 2 weeks ago, it was in my report, I heard a dog going crazy. I walked around trying to make sure, to me, a dog doesn't go crazy unless,
Something's wrong.
so I tried to walk around without breaking the law. And then I think it was 2 or 3 nights later, I got a call from a missus saying, hey, dog's going crazy. And then the husband called back an hour later, said the dog is still going crazy, and I said, sir, I'll be right there. But the dog, there's no dog going crazy.
so I think we got this down to a plan. I'm just not sure where we stand on the board decision.
Well, we were gonna talk about the phone number?
Was there a,
Yeah, which, just do
was there a
clear.
was there a motion for
I have another
you to come back in July? And was that?
I moved that we tabled it until I
Right.
come back
Okay.
to it.
Table.
So
Table,
we'll
okay.
put together a proposal with
Right.
several options.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
perfect.
Good.
But in the meantime, is there,
They're gonna keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I know, but a phone number for
Yeah.
anybody that wants to call if they have concerns?
480
Okay,
430
430.
4137.
And do we have that on the Vision website?
We don't. It will be.
Thanks.
And I do get calls probably once a week,
Is
so
that your cell phone?
somebody has it. It's the patrol.
Easy.
Okay.
Yeah. it's just-
So another
We
thing,
have-
just so
we have to
everyone
make
knows,
sure
we don't
that
use
Matt-
dispatchers, we
make
cut
sure
out the
they
middleman.
Understand that they're not
So
here
when you
every
call
day.
in, you're speaking directly with the officer that's going to respond. So you know that you're talking with someone that's familiar with the community.
They are
and
here
they
every
know where
minute
they're
there.
going. So
Every
Currently.
7 nights a
Not,
week.
well, they're not here
For a
early
certain-
in the evening.
Yeah, for a
Well,
certain.
for certain hours,
Yeah.
though, right, they're not here all night long,
Right.
you know, just a few hours.
And two, I'll mention, we're flexible as far as the hours go, so if you guys just wanna increase the hours over the summer, because the kids are out of school, it's typically the time of year when things get vandalized more, we can certainly do that for 2 months and then scale it back down.
I would like to look at that.
We're flexible as far as that goes.
And if you request a time order here, 2200, 2300 specifically, we can work that also. We're pretty flexible.
Kids get bored in the summer.
They do.
They,
Yes, sir.
we got a time problem.
Yeah, we do. I didn't want to push you guys through, but
I have one quick question if I can. When I'm checking garage doors at night, say it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I typically go up, knock twice, hear dogs barking, whatever. I don't ring the doorbell. I don't know how many people have, 4-month-old kids. Would you rather I ring the doorbell? Because half the time when I knock, nobody answers. Then I feel like a liar.
that's
Does
usually,
that
I
make
would say
sense?
that's usually your call. The police would say to us as volunteers,
Okay.
no.
Okay, well, yeah,
Because there's a robber in the house with a gun, and he answers the door, bang. Do you carry any weapons?
I know. Well, no, just
Is
a
the
knife.
robber gonna answer the door?
Yeah.
No, but he might
No.
shoot through the door. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'll be on the lookout for that. Have a good evening.
Yeah, I'm just trying
Yeah,
to.
we gotta.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do next few items later. I'm concerned about tonight too. The first item on the agenda is the painting letter.
Actually, we got the review of minutes from,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. We got to,
it's on page 3 and 4.
approval of the previous meeting minutes. Any comments on meeting minutes? Move to, make a motion to accept, anybody?
Was this the,
Back in April.
That was the April meeting, not the business meeting.
The one before
I
the.
see my name's in it, so I must have been there. I'll
Yeah.
move that we accept.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, acceptance of the financials. On behalf of Lisa, I'm going to go ahead and accept them. Did you want to make a motion for that, Lisa?
I will second the motion.
No, you didn't make the motion because I can't make it.
Oh, that the financials get accepted.
Second,
I'll second
all in favor?
it. Aye.
Aye. And then we have the manager's report. Matt, take it away.
Alrighty, so our real last meeting was back in April. During that time period, we've had the Torrey Pines block wall repaired. CLC completed the wrought iron paintings with the help and assistance of Dave, so thank you very much for helping with that while I was out on vacation. Protocol did complete the Indian Wells walking path. They completed the Emmett Drive enhancement project. The granite at the additional granite at the monuments has been laid down. All monuments, flowers, and everything have been taken care of. So all those big projects have really been completed. We still have the Indian Wells Park coming up. Glenn said tonight that will be happening in July, so it did get pushed back a little bit. The top lot, correct. What else did I got? We installed some no parking on the shared driveway signs over parcel 5. I have gotten some feedback from homeowners that it has been working, so that's great to hear that something did pan out and was doing well. Do have a bunch of stuff in this packet for you guys, so if we just want to go ahead and move along.
Okay, first item on the agenda is going to be the Cooper Commons painting letter, which I actually approved, made a motion to approve in April, and I got my statement and there was nothing on the back of it, so I don't see any harm or any foul with that. I think this needs a little more discussion.
I would agree.
So painting letter?
Yes.
The homeowner's painting letter. What we're talking about is we can put something on the back of our statements every month, a newsletter at no cost to the HOA. And we had voted to do a painting letter to advise homeowners that it might be time to paint your house or take a look and give you a 12-month reprieve to get it done. Unfortunately, the letter never appeared on the back of the statement. So what I am proposing is that we take a look before the October statement, because this is only June and this is a July statement, so possibly in August, we take a look at what we want to put on the back of that letter and possibly include the painting if we decide that we want to do that.
This whole process, I would really, really like to make it as streamlined and quote-unquote painless as possible. So I think we do need to take a little bit more time really panning this out, getting our traction of how we want to proceed and make steps that will assist vision or a committee or something that we put together for this project.
How about the design review committee working on some guidelines on this side? We already got a committee.
That has possibilities. I think the big concern, Larry, was that after we drafted the letter, a homeowner came and said, according to the CC&Rs, if I'm going to paint it the palette color, I don't have to get board approval or CC&R approval.
Right.
And what we were saying in the letter was, you need to get CC&R approval.
Well, that committee is in the opportune place to come up with the program.
You don't need approval if you're using the original colors.
Right.
And who's gonna do that, Bill?
I didn't think you,
Was it original or was it a palette
thought
color,
it-
David?
Well, if it's your original colors from when the house was built, it doesn't need approval.
Okay.
Because it doesn't say that you have to change the colors. But we need to tweak this baby here a little bit.
yeah.
And then it says, painting must be completed within 12 months from when? So all that needs to be
Exactly,
outlined.
exactly. And I mean, it's gonna be a case-by-case basis, but we do need to,
But do we have a start date and 12 months later type thing?
that's
I
what.
think design review committee is the perfect committee to do this whole preparation of this thing.
What do you think, Carol? You're the design review committee?
Well, that's usually when the applications come in
Right.
and you look at them.
But
But
we,
you're
It's
gonna
not
set the whole
necessarily
program.
putting suggestions out, it's usually we get it when they
What
come
I'm
in.
talking about, Carol, is actually coming up with the overall program.
Yeah, like if you do
The
the
letter,
palette,
yeah.
do you need approval if it's in the palette?
Because I know in the past, if they have picked some of the approved color schemes, that they didn't have to necessarily get approval, as long as they just, said, I'm going to be using the line right across. Isn't that what they've done in the
I
past?
think so, that's what I've read into it.
Right, you didn't have to necessarily get approval.
But I thought they had to do that.
No.
Nobody
No.
checks them out.
They don't have to?
Numerous of my neighbors never got anything approved, and they just did their own thing.
Yeah, so I think it was smart not to put it on the back of the newsletter. I actually appreciated that it wasn't there,
Yeah.
because I think I
We'll
had the
discuss
biggest,
it at the next
I had the
Once
biggest
we get
concern.
it the way we want it, it'd be an excellent thing.
So, we got a new board now, so why don't we go ahead and table this? Is there any discussion from the audience about this?
The letter you're putting on the back is going to all the homeowners saying to be
Correct.
prepared that you may be notified that your house is
Correct.
there.
That's exactly what it is. And that, it's just like having garbage cans out in front of your house or cars parked in front of your house. It's a notification that your house needs to be painted according to either the representative from the design review committee or as determined by Matt from Vision.
Right, but the letter that's going on the back of the statement is not the letter saying that you have to paint your
No,
house.
no, it's a very
A lot of
generic.
people don't look at
Basically, a
those.
generic letter to
Yeah.
everybody, saying it may be time to paint your
Right.
house. It's putting a bug in your ear.
Okay.
How often do you expect that?
Do I expect what?
How often do you expect to paint your house?
Well, I just painted
Here's a
mine
painter,
after 8
he's
years.
a painter.
I mean, I just
Tell 'em.
painted it 3 years ago, but I just.
No.
Yours is good, you're good, unless they cheap paint and they watered it down, but typically 6+ years, no, they're doing that right here in
yeah,
Cooper
they,
Commons.
yeah. there's-
6+ years easy if it's good paint.
You rub your hand on it and the white powder comes off on your
He's a
hand.
painting contractor, so he knows.
Okay, any other audience
Matt, I
discussion?
was going to ask you, I opened my statement today and saw that there was nothing on the back of it. Was that
There was,
an
it was in
error,
here.
or was that there's just nothing to communicate?
No, that, it was an error. There should have been at least just a standard generic newsletter, but unfortunately there was nothing, so that wasn't there yet.
So are we suggesting then that at the next committee meeting, that we go through and determine what we want in this letter? Or that the design review committee should make a determination on what the requirements are? It kind of sounds like they're loose, you know?
I would recommend DRC brings us some sort of a proposal for the letter.
Procedural, we need a procedural outline so
Yep.
people understand what we're
Yeah, but
requiring.
before, they didn't have anything to do with getting permission, it all went to
Management.
whoever.
Yeah,
And then they gave all their information to you guys, and the
Committee.
scheme and all, and you guys approved it. And I think you should do it over the phone, if they pick the scheme and everything's,
We still have that process in place.
Yeah.
Obviously, having the documentation is great, because we can keep it in the file. The house resells, it's there. And I think we should continue doing that. Personally, I don't feel comfortable sitting over the phone and taking a request that way. I'd rather have it in writing than documentation in front of us. But we can still continue that process, but I do agree with what Larry's saying, is that we need a procedural, step-by-step, kind of how we want to go with this. I'd be happy to attend the next design review committee meeting and be there to assist in that process and see where you guys' headspace is at. So Carol will work with you on that. See what
and they
you
were
can
able to
do.
go into the office and bring their stuff, and
Yeah, they can do that
somebody
too.
check it out and approve it pretty much, so you don't have to wait a month,
No, not at all. No,
So
it's,
whatever that takes.
it goes very quickly, at least on the painting aspect.
Yeah.
Like somebody calls up and they say, I'm gonna use this color scheme, because they have approved the Dunn Edwards pre-paint. And
Yeah.
and as long as you're gonna pick the scheme that it's already been approved, you don't have to wait a month. You can just fill out a form, send it in to Jamie.
who gives it to me.
Right.
I review it, and then,
Well, that's why you gotta come up with that whole
Yeah.
procedural thing.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so is
there any
everybody,
way you could put the form online too, so when the
Yeah,
input
it is.
It is.
Online.
It's online
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
so then with that in the
They just
newsletter, be
download
like,
it,
yo,
and fill it up.
So if we have
there it is.
another form in regards to this project, we'll definitely get that online and things
Okay.
like that too. But
And
we
then
do
just put it in the newsletter and then be like, hey, it's right there. Write it up.
So
And
is-
would you have to print it up and mail it, or could y'all, could we email
Oh,
it?
you can email it,
Email
PDF
it?
it,
Okay.
it's, yeah.
Alright.
It's gonna be an interactive form, so you don't have to copy it, fill it out.
Okay,
so is everybody okay with Carol? She's the design review
Well,
committee?
well, it isn't
I'm
the
only one
homeowners.
person of it.
And, no,
It isn't a homeowner's decision, it's a decision.
Right.
But this at least gives the start and headspace to then approach you, the rest of the board, to see what is coming drafted, and you guys can make a decision on how
Yeah.
you'd like to proceed.
I would agree with that, and is there a motion for that, or is there just?
I don't think there needs
There
to
there
be.
doesn't need to be a
You
motion
don't
for
have a
it,
motion.
It's
but
just a good
I
idea.
don't care.
You know, I think that design review committee needs to talk about this, because in
That's-
my opinion, I'm not gonna approve anything that's not on the list. I'm not gonna let them paint their house perfect.
That's part of the
So
whole
we need to-
procedural stuff.
Yeah, that's what we need to
See, I
decide.
think we need to have a
Right.
meeting at first to discuss this
Yeah.
before we
Right,
can even make
right.
any recommendations about anything.
Yeah,
Right.
Because I think a lot of that stuff is in place, we just need to
yeah.
read them.
Review it and.
Just come up with a document
where
that
you-
shows us how things work.
Yeah.
Okay, next,
We'll figure it out.
next on the list is mailbox clusters, and I'm hoping to hear from people in the audience that your mailboxes have been replaced.
I got the key.
I got the keys.
We got our keys in the mail today
Okay.
too.
I have a new one.
So,
Great.
I know Matt has been on top of this with the postmaster with a very nice email. Do we know how many have been done yet?
Mine's been done. Is
I
yours
don't
been
have a
done?
final count. I have had a couple phone calls of people upset, and the process hasn't been so streamlined. But
Oh, I
from
couldn't
hearing
flat.
from the audience tonight, it sounds like it
Yeah,
has been
yeah.
pretty
Keep that
streamlined. So
mailbox.
Outgoing mail.
We got our
Done.
keys a month ago, and they said this will be done within a week, when you get your keys.
Oh, really?
It just got done this week, which I don't have a problem with that.
It's
Just
done.
go out there one day, this key won't fit,
Hang
the
on
new
to the
one
key
will.
until they come.
It's
Yep.
working.
It sure beats the pants off of painting all those bottoms,
Oh,
which is what we were
Well,
gonna
they're
do,
more
so.
streamlined or sleek, but there's outgoing mail within the lots now, so you don't have to
Nice.
go
Let's
to
go.
the mailbox.
Yeah.
So, if you're in the audience and you haven't gotten keys yet,
I don't have.
they're probably coming. Because it seems like more and more Matt's been bugging the postmaster general, and he's been a little bit more reactive than he was in the beginning when we started this process, so. Okay, next, we talked about recycle bulk trash, so we're gonna move on to the shared driveway evaluation. This is the pavers, the paved driveways in parcel 5 and 10, which we call the KB homes. We have multiple proposals from vendors to redo those driveways. Carol and I went out this morning and took a look at all three, or both those parcels. And we kind of sort of agreed that there's some repair issues that have left these proposals very open-ended that could cost the HOA a lot of money. And we both looked at each other and said, we think that power washing and sealing is probably enough to start with on these. And if there's gonna need to be more work, then whoever the contractor is that we hire should give us a proposal for the additional work and not just give us an open-ended proposal. So, at this point, we have JWC, we have Nautilus,
And then I
and
gave you
then
guys
you gave
Berlin
us the
construction.
other one, which is the most expensive. Nautilus is about $10,195 for parcel, one of the parcels, whereas JWC is $15,900. Now, the thing you gotta look at when you read these proposals, they're kinda tricky, is that these don't include water tanks and water. So we have to pay additional costs to have bulk water brought out and the tank brought out for these people to use. So these proposals aren't necessarily complete with these dollar quotes. So to streamline the issue, what I would be proposing is that we get a little more information before we make this decision and tell these contractors exactly what we want, that we want them power washed and we want them sealed. And if there's any additional work to be done, that they send us another proposal.
Well, wait a minute. I'm gonna propose that we meet with them on site so that we can specifically explain what we want done and get them to specifically give us a quote on what we ask them to do, rather than just wide open.
Yeah, I mean, because one of these quotes is for, looks like 15 plus 6, so that's 21,000. The other one is about 13,000, and then the one that Matt gave us tonight, how much is that one?
One's per location, one's per square feet.
Right.
It's hard to make any.
Yeah,
They're hard to compare it.
And they're not in that bad a
And
shape.
then, what if they brought their water? Is that cheaper than if we get the water?
I still say we need to meet each one on site and determine what needs to be done on each location, and then get a quote specifically for that location.
You can always do one location at a time as well.
On-site meeting, all three of them.
You can always do one at a time and see how the first one looks.
I tend to agree, Larry, because I thought, did you read the proposals?
Oh,
Were they-
yeah, I can.
They're
They're a
all
little
over the
lot.
place.
Yeah, they are.
They're all over the place.
Nobody was measuring them the same way.
You gotta, if you're gonna request quotes, you gotta give them bid specs, so they're all quoting apples and apples. These are not apples.
Well, I did put the bid RFP that I provided to them within your packet, so just so you can see what I sent them and requested.
Yeah, they didn't follow it then.
Okay, next on the agenda is the 2015 audit, which is a little bit late, but better late than never. We still don't have that audit, do we?
The contract said it was to be done by July 30th, so
Okay.
we're knocking on the door, so we should have it in no time.
Okay, the question I have on that, Matt, is in reviewing the check log, they were gonna charge us $1,400 for the audit in the check log, and the original quote for that was $2,750. So, I mean, I'd rather pay $1,400 than $2,750, but do you know which one it's gonna be?
I'm not quite sure what you,
This was the original quote from last year.
right. I'm sorry, I didn't see the check log.
Oh, I didn't, the check log's not attached. I just happened to see the check log for approval this week, and it's not on there for approval, but it's $1,400
Okay.
instead of $2,750.
Let me get with Stephanie, to make sure that
So is it $1,400 or is it $2,750? Okay, community,
It's $2,750.
yeah.
you think it's $2,750, Larry? I would think so too. October 22nd, the community fall movie event. I'm really excited about this one. I've kind of sort of taken the helm on this one. Carol and I drove around today looking at parks, and I had questioned to her, we were gonna do this at Hunt Park originally, but Hunt Park is a high traffic area, and that is what they call the Police Gain Week, GAIN, where the police department will actually bring out task vehicles and police cars and motorcycles and all kinds of exciting stuff that the kids like. And so I said to Carol, I said, why don't we go look at Rico Park? And the one thing about Rico Park that's nice is it's got a natural hill that's built up where the movie projector can go. And we can actually close off Rico between Amanda and the First Street, whatever that street is, I don't know what it's called. Valerie, so that we're not obstructing any traffic. Anybody that lives off of Rico can get in from Cooper that way, and we wouldn't be obstructing them. So my first idea is to use Rico Park rather than Hunt Park.
Well, it's a better park to use now with the fencing down and everything too.
Hunt, or Rico?
It's centrally located in the
Used to have a fence
community.
around it.
Yeah.
You
So
could
that
sort
would
of
be-
have it like a big block party. You've got the two parks, and the police cars could sort of be parked in the middle. You could have the
Well, it
movies.
would be nice if we had the rock and the grills in and stuff.
Yeah.
Would that be
We got
nice?
till October,
Yeah.
so we probably could.
They have tables and things
Would
to
that be nice?
sit, but then you could, you could do one side for the movie, the other side for the food, and, I mean, you could have that whole area, and it's more in the middle of the park, and it's safer than out on Hunt Highway.
So, do we need any more discussion on the community event other than, right now, we're putting pieces together. We know in August that Matt and I will go to the police department and put our bid in to try to get certain vehicles out here from the police department, because it's done by bid, first come, first serve. We know that ProQual is gonna step up to the plate with some sort of
Assistance.
financial assistance. Matt gave me a proposal earlier for the movie screen, and I asked him to go check a couple of other places
It's the only
because
one I've gotten back so far.
And then there was a clown of
we were talking about
Yeah.
a face painter.
There was a character guy that I had met at, I should have brought the character that I had gotten done, at one of the trade shows, and so I got his information, and it's about $125 per hour. But it's good, you know, just something a little bit extra for fun.
My concern about a caricature artist is he can only do one person at a time. And if we have hopefully hundreds of people show up for this event, some people may feel left out if they can't get their caricature done.
He can provide multiple.
Perfect, at
Multiple,
125 per person, per hour.
I'd have to get more details on that. Right now, I just have 125 per hour.
Because it's not a bad idea, but the other idea, the generic idea is a bounce house, you know, for the kids.
Yeah, I mean, like, the kids aren't gonna like, I mean, there's older kids like the caricatures.
Yeah,
Like
we've
the
had
younger
bounce
ones.
houses in the past too.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
I know my kids like bounce house
Yeah,
and face
that's fine.
painting.
Face painting.
Little
We
kids
like
like
the spring shindig out there that we had on Railway. They were always, it was the hot dogs, face painting, bounce house.
Right.
That was a good 2 hours of free fun that.
So,
Yep.
I didn't have to do
protocol
anything.
is, stepping up to the plate, what's Vision doing?
Well, we haven't asked them yet.
Well,
We're gonna make that contingent on signing the new contract.
Oh.
Right, Matt?
Sure.
I'm sure, you guys have offered to do something.
Yeah,
haven't you?
we'll assist. We'll get people out here, personnel. We'll do whatever we need to. So
They'll bring balloons.
it's not a question of what we won't do. So.
Okay, next on the agenda is, I'm kind of speeding this along because we want to be out here by 8:30. Next on the agenda is the cul-de-sacs that need to be repaved because they belong to Cooper Commons. They don't somehow belong to the city of Chandler.
Correct.
So we have 3 cul-de-sacs that need to be paved. Carol and I again went out and looked at all 3 and did verify today that they're all in really bad shape. I don't think they've ever been done in 15 years since they were built. We have 3 bids. Any feeling on these bids, Larry?
Well, they're always too much, but.
Yeah.
Well, initially when I read through them and Carol and I agreed, there's one contractor that's willing to put on 2 slurry coats, but he's not the least expensive. The other 2 contractors will put in 1 coat of slurry, and they're a little cheaper. But the one that wants to put on 2 coats has probably got the best recommendation of asphalt people, Ace Asphalt. I think I see their trucks around all the time. So this becomes a question of saving money or
Pay now,
quality,
pay later.
quality now or
So
pay later.
So Swain is $38.95.
Yep.
Sunland is $54.59. Ace is $71.60.
Well, Ace did give you guys 2
2 coats.
Yeah.
2 options.
1 year warranty.
A number 2 option is $42.30
Correct.
plus $8.30.
Yeah, so 5,060.
So,
Yeah.
any direction on this from the board?
I'm not much on the slurry stuff. I've got paint that's thicker than that stuff.
It's thicker than slurry?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like paint. A lot of the stuff they just did on Arizona Avenue,
Yeah. So 2 coats is better than 1 coat
2
then?
coats is better.
Well, yeah,
You know,
is slurry the way to go?
you can see it wearing off in a couple months. I don't know.
The only benefit of this is there's no traffic on those cul-de-sacs, really.
Yeah.
Well, not like a street.
Right.
Not like
Yeah.
Arizona Avenue, for sure.
So
They
it's not
are in
gonna
rough
wear
shape.
off
Some
on
of
the
them are
street.
crumbling so bad that if they don't do something, we're gonna lose them.
I don't know.
And this, unlike the pavers, is a pretty cut and dry quotations on all 3, I think. So do we want to make a motion to accept one of these and then go into some discussion? David?
I don't know which one. I tend, something like that, I tend to go for the good stuff. I know Ace is good people. They're doing all the prize marketplace stuff down the street here.
Okay.
They've been around forever.
How about Ace number 2? It's $5 grand.
So what is that?
What's the
1 coat?
difference then? Just the coats?
I can't remember what it said.
Well,
So 2 coats, correct?
That's the total of the first 2 numbers, Larry?
the 5,060?
Yeah. That's the total of the first 2 numbers on page 1.
Ceiling, 2 coats with crack seal, so they're just going back over it instead of
Caulk all
Do
major
they
cracks.
clean out the cracks?
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's some reflectors that are on the street that'll have to come up and be relayed down, so. Can we get a motion from the board
What do you think, Brian?
to accept one of the three?
I'd go with number 2.
Two coats.
Ace number 2?
Yeah. Because they're gonna fill cracks, they're gonna put the sealer down.
And there really is so little traffic, like these people that make a mistake on the road or people that live there.
And they're gonna perform the asphalt repairs prior to the seal coat.
Yeah, you
Right,
always
see,
do.
right.
So I'll motion for number 2 on Ace.
They're the ones doing the work
Need
on
a second on that?
I'll
on the
second that.
clean.
I'll second.
He seconded it.
And
that's
seconded
fine.
and thirded.
Oh,
Any,
yeah, too.
does anybody
Okay.
live in that area? Parcel E?
Me.
Oh, well then
She
we'll go
does.
with the cheaper one on your street.
Yeah, it's
Any, this is just to redo the streets, yes, sir.
We've used them, Ace and Sunland Bolt as subcontractors. We found Ace is much more integrity and,
Oh, good.
That's what I've
they
heard
do a
the
better
same thing.
job for the money.
All right, that's
Good.
great to
In
know.
this case, I don't think you go cheap, I think you go based on
Yes.
quality.
They bid based on how to do it right, not what they can get away with, and
Right.
hopefully you'll be happy.
And that's great, do it
There's
right.
our experience with the two different, the third one you mentioned, I didn't quite catch, but Sunland and Ace, we've dealt with them both quite a bit. And sometimes, depending on the budget we have to go with the less price, but we're usually
But then you end up doing it again.
bidding for it.
Again, the saving grace is this area is not a lot of traffic, so.
And I don't know about what you have, but they usually will give you a pretty good warranty on their work.
It says 1
It's a
year
1-year warranty.
on workmanship, normal wear, tear, abuse, accidental damage, and acts of gods are excluded. Pretty much everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I got a motion on the
That's
table, I got it
standard.
seconded. Any other feedback from the homeowners?
And-
How about
Are
a,
these cul-de-sacs Cooper Commons or Heritage?
So there's 2 in Heritage, 1 in parcel 10, but they're all deeded to Cooper Commons
Right,
Master.
so all-
So that's the reason why we're responsible for the maintenance of them.
I think we're ready for a vote. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, just to confirm, it was ACE option 2
Right.
in the amount of $5,060.
Right.
Okay, next on the agenda is Flag Committee. Larry, I think I sent you a note on that. Terry provided me with a quotation earlier this week for some flags. Terry, did you bring your quotation with you?
Well,
I'm gonna, in a very short manner
Yeah.
of speaking, I think I'm gonna turn that over to you.
First, I want to tell everybody, tell everybody thank you that helps put up the flags. We've had a few more volunteers, and it's really working out good. Been working with Dave, and one of the things I wanted to mention is it's every time we go out to put up the flags, we have 76 flags, and we have 80 flag holders. So we need to add at least 4 flags, or we don't need to. It doesn't matter. We can go with what we're doing right now, and it's no big deal. But every time we go to put them up, we go down Emmett from Amanda over to Riggs, and every time is, wouldn't it be nice to put 5 or 6 more flags up to the corner, because we don't go all the way to the corner. So one of the things we came up with is we would like to fill those 4 missing flags that we have. We'd like to build 4 for that, and we would like to add a minimum of 6 more at Riggs and Emmett. So that comes up with 10. We also have about 5 flags that are old, worn, and pretty dirty more than anything. We only put the flags up 6 times a year, so they don't get a lot of wear and tear, but we definitely have some dirty flags. So what we would like to do there is replace about 5 flags. So my recommendation would be to build 10, the minimum, to add 6, and add the 4 that we already have the stands for, to do that as a minimum. We can build them ourselves, and when I say ourselves, I'm talking about volunteers. Myself, Tom, I know Keith had said he'd help, Dave said he'd help. We can build them for about $25 a piece, and we're paying $13.50 for a flag. Now, the caveat is, if we buy 25 flags, we can get them for $9.50 a flag. So, I would like to see us get 10, plus the 5 to replace the worn ones, And then we would have 10 extras, and I'm not saying rat hole them, but we may want to add, 8 or replace a couple more. That drops the price down, but let's stick with the 10 right now. If we build 10 flags, the flags and material are under $25 a flag. That's us doing the work and nobody charging any labor. That's just material, the flags and the material. So labor's free. Larry showed me how to install them. I have a bit, drill a hole, where it's at. We after the landscaping was all done, we had to do repairs to a whole bunch of these that got knocked out. We were able to do that. It's working out real good. So my proposal would be to you guys to at least add the 10 and consider buying the 25 flags and getting the discount. 25 flags is cheaper than 20 flags. The price break is after 20. So go ahead.
I'm gonna make a motion. I'm gonna motion that we authorize you to buy 25 flags and build 10 for now.
Build 10 and then
Have 15 in reserve.
But I don't want to use the 15 in reserve because I know we have about 5 that need replaced, so.
Fine, well, 25 flags.
Yeah,
And whatever you need to build.
okay, yeah, no, I appreciate that because that's what my recommendation would be. Build the 10, replace the dirty ones, we have some, and then we can talk about if we want to add some someplace.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to mention, and I promise I'll keep it short. We have been talking about, a lot of the communities put the flags up for a weekend. If the holiday's on a Monday, they'll put them up as early as Saturday. We are not a gated community, so we have no protection. This week, I was gone, but we talked about it and put them up on Saturday
We put
this
them
week.
up on
For Flag Day.
Monday, but that was because of the Orlando shooting, so we decided to put them up on Monday.
So, Dave is working with us all the time as a board member and that. So I hate to risk having some of this flags stolen. They can steal them in one night as well as they can two or three.
One of the
So-
reasons we put them up and take them down the same day is we have had them stolen.
Well, see, that's what I don't know. I don't know if we've ever, since I've been doing it for about a year, I don't know if any of it have been stolen.
I brought the program to the community in '03, and I can tell you, we had flags stolen over the years. Matter of fact, one time, somebody saw the guy put it in the back of his pickup and followed him home, called the cops, and had to bring
Got
him back out.
Well, there is a risk, and like I say,
There's
other
a risk.
communities do it, but a lot of them are gated communities.
Right.
And they have a lot more patrols and like that stuff. So it is a risk, and we've always, to my knowledge, we've always put them up one day and take them down the same day, which we can stay with that, at least we get them up that day. And I would never change that without going through, like I said, Dave is out there every time helping us. So without going through you guys to do that, we're not going to take that upon ourselves to put them up early and take them down without talking to you guys about it.
So for now, the 4th of July is on a Monday. We talked about putting them up on Saturday, or maybe we can compromise and put them up on Sunday.
Or Monday.
Or we can do them on Monday, just the one day. So
There's communities down the rigs that aren't gated,
And they have.
and they have them up, and they'll have them
And
up
some of them
almost
have
all
them
week
up
long.
outside of the gate.
Yeah,
Some.
and I understand
They're on
that
the
they've gotten
outside.
stolen and everything, because I've seen people steal them all the
I'm
time.
with the Sun Lakes Lions Club. Those are our flags in Sun Lakes.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not talking about Sunrise, I'm
Well,
talking about towards
the
Gilbert.
other ones are copying us, but we leave them up over there because they're basically gated communities.
Right, but I'm just saying, you're gonna have the risk, things get stolen all the time. But still though, it's better, in my opinion, to have them up longer than it would be just for a few hours, not even a whole day. It's only gonna be a few hours. You put
we
them up
tried
so
it.
long in the
We
morning.
tried it for the Orlando shooting, and it worked out. We didn't lose any flags.
Right.
We've lost
Now, granted-
how many volleyball nets have we lost?
They weren't red, white, and blue.
And granted, 4th of July, everyone's gonna be like, oh, look, free flag, game and everything, that's a possibility and stuff, but honestly, it's a possibility no matter what day you put them out there, even if they're for only 12 hours.
You can always try
so-
it for this 4th of July, maybe.
So are you proposing a Sunday or Monday or Sunday or
The
Saturday?
only thing I can say about putting them up 2 days, when we put them up in the morning and take them down at night, they're not there overnight.
Right.
If you put them up the day ahead, now you've got that night.
Overnight.
That's where your risk is,
That's
so.
right.
Yes,
That's true too.
I enjoy seeing the flags every time. I appreciate it
I
when you
know.
put them up.
And so do I.
I think that
the original policy sounds like a good one, and it was done for a reason. And unless you're gonna have a guard there for 24 hours, I think you ought to.
So you're
I
suggesting
mean,
one
you
night?
have too good of a record for not losing flag.
Nighttime is a problem with flags.
No, that's where, right.
You have too good of a record.
So we've got one homeowner saying one day, and we've got another homeowner
And
saying.
if that's the case, then on 4th of July and everything, pick a time, because I know the fireworks start at like, what time, like 9 o'clock or
9
something?
o'clock. Yeah, they're
And
down.
I'll be out at Tumble with the kids and everything at 9 o'clock. So
Oh,
then we-
They'll be down by 7.
They're down before then.
They're down
So
at
we,
7.
I'm down by sunrise then?
Yeah. but
So what do you think, Larry?
Sunset.
One night, 2 nights, 3
Yeah.
nights? Stick with the one night?
One night,
I
one
think
day.
so. I think
One
so.
day.
One day.
Okay.
One day, no nights.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, any second? For one day?
I'll second.
Okay, we've had discussion. Yes, anybody else? I'm gonna make a vote. Agree?
Are we making this law the one-day thing?
For one day.
Okay.
We're voting one day. So I'm going to yes.
Well, actually, we didn't change
We're
anything.
voting yes or no for one
nothing's
day.
We did, we just status quo, we didn't really need to.
We're not changing
You
anything.
don't need a motion in regards to the placing them, but
How about
we do like.
purchase?
We need a
Yeah,
purchase.
we do
We
need
need
a
the
purchase,
purchase,
yeah.
right.
And Larry had started the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, let me just say, if we bought the 25 flags, built 10 new ones, had the other 15 to replace and some in reserve, it's gonna be around $450 for those.
Yeah. And the one thing I'd like to point out, without harping on this for too much longer, I asked Terry to give me a proposal, and Terry brought me a very formal proposal from Home Depot for the parts. And he also brought me a very detailed proposal for the flags with the quantity breakdowns. And Terry, I talked to Matt about this, and I talked to Terry about this, and I asked him if we could pay him $100 for his time, and he absolutely refuses to take any money. So I think Terry deserves a round of applause.
Well, I just want to know, nobody's doing this, we're doing it because we want to, and that's the people that are helping putting them up. And I really appreciate, I'm not a veteran, I appreciate the veterans and the ones that do come out and help, and the other people that are coming out and helping. If we can keep 6 or 8 people out there, it works, and we do it in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Thing down.
And
if
the
we don't
kids,
run off
and
and
we
leave.
love the kids around here, right?
The kids.
Right, Ryan? Good job.
Ryan here's a volunteer. Stand up.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we're almost done, is the Design Review Committee. I think Carol may be looking for some volunteers, if anybody wants to volunteer. Right now, how big is your committee?
We have 5 or so people
Huh?
on right now.
Do you want volunteers?
I think
Probably
we're,
big enough.
huh?
It's probably big enough
Yeah,
already.
right now, I think we're fine.
We hit some rough months because Gary leaving and
We
vacations
have
and
this
stuff like
vacation
that, but
there
it's
now,
working.
but we had 3 last month.
Yeah,
Some months they say, did we have 5, 6, you know, I remember in the past, sometimes you'd have 7 or 8.
Let me know, Carolyn.
I will.
We'll need somebody
All
out.
right.
Okay, so
Uh-huh.
that issue is gone. Now we have some new business to discuss. I'm not quite sure what the Jonathan Russell update resignation ratify is.
Well, he sent in his resignation, and that was during a time when we didn't have a formal board meeting, so,
I move that his resignation be accepted.
thank you.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Ciso trees, which we took care of, dead tree removal we took care of. Mutual of Omaha, just for your sake, Lisa, and I'm gonna go ahead and give this to Matt, and I'll send you a copy.
Thank you.
I was shopping CD rates the other day, just, you know, on Google, and initially we had a homeowner that actually came to us and discovered a 1.5% CD rate when the best we could get was 0.5% in the valley here, and that ended up being through a bank in Seattle. So I figured just for giggles, I would Google this thing, and I found a 1.36% 13-month CD in Dallas, Texas. So I think what I'm gonna do, if it's okay with you, Lisa, is give this information to Matt, because this
Okay.
isn't coming up due until December.
Right.
And I think we basically talked about earlier, possibly investing and holding back on the sprinklers, but I think Larry brought a valid point to the table.
Yeah.
I'd rather invest in the sprinklers now and worry about the CD
How
later.
much money do we have in the CD, Dave?
Any discussion?
How much do we have in the CDs?
Right now, we have about 153,000 that is gonna expire in December, and besides that, we have another help me out with this number, Matt, I think 345,000
Jeez, that
tied
doesn't
up.
seem like much money, I mean,
Well, we have, remember, our reserves are worth about 600,000 for the master
Yeah.
community right
I
now.
mean, 1 point something, that's why I don't have a savings account, it's not worth the trouble. I don't have 600,000, but let me talk to some people, I'll see that.
Do you know where we can get better rates, or
I know a
you,
bunch of bankers, so
well,
I'll ask.
you know, that initially came from a homeowner, and when we were initially shopping rates and I was the treasurer,
Yeah.
the best we could get was 0.5%. And then the homeowner came to us with 1.35 or something like that, and I didn't believe it, and I made contact with the bank in Seattle, and we got it.
Okay.
And the only thing that kept us from investing more in that CD was because of the FDIC rules,
Yeah.
because you can't invest more than 250,000, so with the interest in
In
mind,
one
we
CD.
invested 245.
In one
Yeah,
CD.
just in one.
Yeah, a bunch of them were.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
any questions on that from the homeowners? It's just a good way to make some interest on some money that's in excess in our bank account, but it looks like we spent a lot of it today, so we don't have any more excess.
Wise.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
Wise and best.
We had, that was on the agenda. Is the homeowner here that posted that on Nextdoor? Because there was some concern about mosquitoes in the community and,
No, but I've seen people on Facebook too posting about it and everything. I don't have any in where we're living and stuff like that, but I know people down here Hunt Highway and everything. They're constantly talking about how mosquitoes are so bad out there.
and I'm not sure that it's the HOA's responsibility to treat for mosquitoes. We currently
They
treat
call
for,
the city. I
Yeah.
know they call the city.
and we
trying to
treat
get
for
on there.
bees. We do currently treat for bees and gophers. Do we do gophers?
Ants.
Ants. But I think mosquitoes is kind of causing a fine line. So it's just, it's on the agenda because if the homeowner was here who was concerned about it, I wanted to let them have a chance to speak up about it. So
I don't have any in my house.
obviously
God,
that
it's so
person
bad.
is not here, so
I don't have any in my
shame
house.
on them.
We do.
I know.
And then the last item on before we get to the open part of the meeting is our vision contract, and I think I alluded to that a little bit earlier. We have two major contracts in our community, that's our management contract and our landscaping contract. We attended an executive meeting last Friday at Vision, where we had a chance to speak with the CEO of Vision and give him an idea of what we were looking for. He basically said to me, Dave, if you want a 100-year contract, I'll give you a 100-year contract because you have a 30-day quit clause in your contract, and all that does is it guarantees its pricing. Now, I think Broqual told us tonight that they only hold their pricing for 3 years, and we're currently in the first year of that contract, so we have 2 more years on that one. So this is an item that we wanted to bring to the meeting to have homeowners discuss if they had any concerns about our management company. Just Matt will close his ears and we'll have.
I'd be happy to walk out of
No,
the
no, these are things that they need to know, because I'll tell you the one thing about Vision and ProQual, and hopefully the rest of the board will agree with me, is they've been very open in the 6 months that we've been dealing with them. Any concerns that we've had, we've been able to bring to them, and they have been corrected. I've asked Matt on several occasions when I was the treasurer for some reports that I didn't expect to get for 2 or 3 weeks, and within 2 or 3 days, I had them in my hands. So I don't think there's a performance issue, and if there's a pricing issue, then we can settle that relatively quickly by going out and bidding other management companies. I know for Larry's standpoint that this was done very poorly last year. I would tend to agree with it. I wasn't the president of the board. And it was done without the proper wheels being in motion. But that's, Larry and I have also agreed that there's things that are behind us that we're gonna keep behind us, so we need to move forward. And that's what that's all about. The last part of the meeting is the open session, and as I alluded to at the beginning of the meeting, this meeting goes from gavel to gavel. If you want something brought up on the open agenda item, it needs to be submitted to Vision at wearevision.com through Matt. He'll send it out to me, and I'll send it to the board, and we'll determine whether or not those items can be added to the agenda. We will respond to you if they shouldn't be added on the agenda. But by this little book here, that's why I brought it, it says that if it's not on the agenda, and the ARS statutes, which if anybody wants to borrow this, it's very interesting reading. For ARS statutes, it says that we are not allowed to talk about items that are not on the agenda. You can talk about them, but we can't respond. So is there anything that you're thinking about that needs to be on the agenda that we shouldn't respond to tonight? How's that?
That's a way of it.
Well, you're having close.
I ordered a gavel, it's probably sitting at my house because it's supposed to be delivered today, but I haven't seen UPS, so I'm gonna use my calculator and look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Seconded.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.